You need to see this before they delete it. What you're about to hear in this video is real, and they don't want you to know it. What if the voices of the dead are trying to warn us about something terrible? Something that goes far beyond what science can explain. Something that skeptics, the controllers of truth, try to hide from you at all costs. They say it's a lie. They say it's an illusion. But what if it isn't? Brace yourself, because the recordings you'll hear here could change everything you believe about death and what happens after it. But first, tell me, where are you watching this video from? Comment below with the name of your city or country. Let's see how far this truth is reaching, and stay with me until the end, because I'm going to give you an exclusive gift, a revealing recording that was banned on several platforms. If you had the courage to listen to the end, and you will understand why. Warning: this video may be disturbing to those living in denial. If you are one of those people who only believes what they can see, maybe it's best to stop here. But if you feel there is something more, if you know that not everything ends with death, so watch until the end, because what you discover may stay with you for the rest of your life. Have you ever heard of psychophony, also known as EVP, electronic voice phenomenon? This is when mysterious voices, supposedly from beyond, are captured by recorders, radios, televisions, and even by common cell phones. But the scariest thing is that these voices come out of nowhere, with no one around, without any logical explanation. These recordings challenge everything science believes about the physical world. Picture this. You turn on a tape recorder in an empty room. No sound, no noise, but when listening to the recording later, a voice whispers, "I'm still here." These voices often speak in short, direct sentences, as if they wanted to warn, as if they were trapped between two worlds. And most disturbingly, they often answer questions. There are historical and classical records that make even the most skeptical shiver. Like the case of Latvian engineer Konstantin Raudive, who captured more than 100,000 mysterious voices using only a recorder connected to a shortwave radio. The messages said things like, "We are dead, but we still think." Time doesn't exist here. And these phenomena continue to this day. Cell phones recording voices that no one heard live. Radios broadcasting whispered phrases that seem to come from another dimension. Voices that come out of nowhere, with messages that send shivers down your spine. Who is talking to us? And most importantly, why? Now pay close attention. What you are about to hear is not fiction. These are real cases, recorded, documented, and disturbing. Let's start with Fredrik Jürgensen, a Swedish filmmaker and painter. In 1959, he decided to record birdsong with a portable recorder. But when playing the tape, what he heard was not the sound of birds. It was the voice of his own mother, who had died years ago, calling his name and saying, "Friedel, my little one, do you hear me?" This recording was just the first of many. Jürgensen spent the rest of his life capturing mysterious voices, and he said that the beyond is trying to speak to us. Then came Konstantin Raudive, a psychologist and engineer from Latvia. Jürgensen's work, Raudive dove headfirst into research into electronic voices. He recorded more than 100,000 messages using radios, disconnected microphones, and even devices connected to nothing. The voices spoke in many languages, answered questions, and many seemed to come from sentient beings. Raudive reported phrases such as, "We are not dead. There is pain, a lot of pain. Help us get out." Phrases that defy any logical explanation, and many believe they are screams from souls trapped in another dimension. Another chilling case happened in 1973. Italian researchers captured a recording in an abandoned church where a female voice cried and said, "Please, get me out of here. It's dark." There was no one there, no women, but the audio is clear, real, and absolutely harrowing. And it doesn't stop there. In the United States, a family trying to communicate with their deceased son received the following message: "Daddy, I'm fine, but they won't let me out." But the tape was analyzed by experts. No signs of editing. There was only one question left in the air: who are they? These are just a few of the thousands of reports that continue to emerge to this day, voices that ask for help, that warn, that tell what happens after the heart stops. But skeptics want you to believe it's just interference, just noise. Really? Now comes the most disconcerting part of all this. Science has tried for years to discredit the phenomenon of electronic voices. Researchers claimed that it was just radio interference, random noise, sound pareidolia, when the human mind tries to make sense of nothing. They said it was an illusion, an auditory hallucination. But none of these explanations has stood up to the most rigorous tests because, you see, some messages answered questions asked seconds before. Others brought information unknown to the researcher at that time. And in many cases, recordings were made in completely isolated environments, with microphones disconnected and devices shielded from interference. So the question remains, if it is not explainable by science, what is it after all? That's where spiritualist and occult theories come in. For some soul scholars, these voices would be manifestations of spirits trying to communicate through temporary gaps between worlds. Moments when the vibration between the planes aligns and contact becomes possible. For more esoteric currents, EVP would be the result of the energetic frequency of souls, which can manipulate the electromagnetic field of electronic devices, imprinting their presence even after physical death. And there are still those who believe that we are facing warnings from beyond, from souls that have not found the light, trapped in dimensions of pain, anguish, or regret. Religions such as Spiritism claim that these voices are from spirits in suffering, asking for help, prayer, understanding. But skeptics continue to deny it, because accepting this would mean admitting that death is not the end. And there are those who prefer to live blind than to face this truth. Then, could it be equipment failures, or failures in reality? Signs from another dimension? Or just the echo of a truth that many don't want to hear? You decide. But after all, what are these voices saying? What is being whispered between the invisible layers of reality? Researchers who have dedicated themselves to recording and studying EVPs report messages that are, to say the least, disturbing. In one of the first recordings made by Friedrich Jürgensen, a female voice whispered sadly, "It's dark in here." This phrase was heard several times in other recordings made by different researchers, as if it were a pattern, a state. Is this the fate of many? Souls, trapped in darkness, without direction? Konstantin Raudiv, responsible for over 100,000 recordings, reported voices saying things like, "There is no way out. Help us! He's here." Short, direct sentences, but with an emotional charge that makes your spine shiver. In another case, captured in a house where a murder had taken place, a voice murmured, "It still hurts," as if the pain of death remained even after the end of the body. There are also records of unknown voices calling the researcher's name in a tone of despair, as if they already knew him or were waiting for him. Some voices, according to scholars, are whispers, others scream. Some seem gentle, others sound threatening. And perhaps the scariest thing isn't what they say, but what they fail to say. The silence between one sentence and another, the heavy pause, the feeling that there is something even worse, hidden. Many believe that these messages are not random. They are alerts, cries, warnings from the other side. The dead are trying to tell us something, maybe warn us about what awaits us, or simply beg us, don't make the same mistakes. Now the question is, are you listening? Terrifying truth about the afterlife. What if everything you've learned about the afterlife is wrong? We were taught that after death comes peace. But what if it's not like that? What if what comes next is not light, but darkness? Not a paradise, but an invisible prison, a place where souls wander aimlessly, trapped between worlds, crying out for help that never comes. The voices captured over the years, on old radios, home recorders, even modern cell phones, do not speak of rest. They talk about fear, about loneliness, about pain. Phrases like, "It's dark here, there's no way out, I'm still here," they don't seem to come from a heavenly paradise. Some spiritualists believe that these voices are souls trapped in a type of purgatory, a dimension between our world and the ultimate afterlife. Others speak of a vibrational limbo, where souls who died with anger, attachment, or suffering cannot fully depart. Some say that these souls were violently interrupted, and now they eternally relive the last moments of their lives. Like an echo from the past, a punishment that repeats itself, and there are even scarier theories that certain entities manipulate the dead, keeping them imprisoned to feed something even darker. What if dying is not the end, but the beginning of a nightmare from which one cannot wake up? These voices, fragmented, almost desperate, seem to be trying to warn us about this, as if they wanted to shout the truth that the living refuse to hear. And maybe that's exactly why skeptics don't want you to believe, because the more we ignore, the closer we get to the same fate. The question remains, are you ready to know what happens after death, or will you continue to believe what they want you to believe? Terrifying truth about the afterlife. What if everything you've learned about the afterlife is wrong? We were taught that after death comes peace. But what if it's not like that? What if what comes next is not light, but darkness? Not a paradise, but an invisible prison, a place where souls wander aimlessly, trapped between worlds, crying out for help that never comes. The voices captured over the years, on old radios, home recorders, even modern cell phones, do not speak of rest. They talk about fear, about loneliness, about pain. Phrases like, "It's dark here, there's no way out, I'm still here," they don't seem to come from a heavenly paradise. Some spiritualists believe that these voices are souls trapped in a type of purgatory, a dimension between our world and the ultimate afterlife. Others speak of a vibrational limbo, where souls who died with anger, attachment, or suffering cannot fully depart. Some say that these souls were violently interrupted, and now they eternally relive the last moments of their lives. Like an echo from the past, a punishment that repeats itself, and there are even scarier theories that certain entities manipulate the dead, keeping them imprisoned to feed something even darker. What if dying is not the end, but the beginning of a nightmare from which one cannot wake up? These voices, fragmented, almost desperate, seem to be trying to warn us about this, as if they wanted to shout the truth that the living refuse to hear. And maybe that's exactly why skeptics don't want you to believe, because the more we ignore, the closer we get to the same fate. The question remains, are you ready to know what happens after death? Or will you continue to believe what they want you to believe? Current cases captured by modern devices. In recent years, technology has advanced a lot, and with it, evidence of the supernatural seems to be getting closer and closer to us. Cell phones, security cameras, smart speakers, all of these devices have been capturing sounds that shouldn't be there. Recent recordings show frightening voices appearing out of nowhere in silent environments at times when no one is around. There are whispers, disjointed words, and even cries for help that send chills down your spine. Some videos went viral on social media, leaving experts and skeptics perplexed. How is it possible that such clear and defined voices appear precisely on devices used in our everyday lives? And the most disturbing, could it be that the dead are trying to communicate more than ever, but no one is listening? While most people ignore them, thinking they are technical failures, perhaps we are missing the chance to hear messages that can change everything we believe about life and death. Stay tuned, because at the end of this video, I will reveal an amazing gift that can open your eyes to this mystery. The big question, should we listen? But after all, should we really try to listen to these voices from beyond? What can happen if you open yourself up to this contact? What if, by listening, you accidentally open a portal to something you can never control? Some who listened claim they were never the same again, as if they had awakened to a dark and permanent reality. Are we prepared to deal with what is on the other side? If these voices are really real, What exactly do they want to tell us? Could they be warnings, calls for help, or messages that could change everything we think about life and death? What about you? Have you ever heard something inexplicable that gave you goosebumps? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may help others understand this mystery. And if you've made it this far, leave your mark. Right, they are here in the comments to show you listened all the way to the end. The secret may be closer than you think.